The following is a conversation with Nicky Billou. Nicky Billou is an immigrant, author, and entrepreneur, and believes business is all about people. He's helped numerous entrepreneurs scale their businesses to over seven figures and helps experts become thought leaders. He loves helping people win big. And here's his story. So, Nicky, really excited to have you on. I think you have a really unique background and a lot of really awesome and cool things to talk about. But one of the things that I wanted to mention, in your backstory, you happen to be a grim immigrant, as am I. I happen to hail from Israel. You also happen to hail from the Middle East area. And I know you've bounced around a lot. But the first thing I wanted to get into, what does it mean to you to be an immigrant living in this country?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show, Daniel. And I really appreciate you asking the question. And you are right. I am an immigrant from the Middle East. I'm a Christian from Iran. When I was 11 years old, the Islamic Revolution took place in Iran. And my late father, God rest his soul, he could see the writing on the wall. This wasn't going to be a place to raise a Christian family. So he made a plan and, he executed it and eventually got us out of Iran and settled us where I now live in Toronto, Canada. And at the time, I was 11. I didn't want to leave my home. I didn't want to leave my friends. But looking back, it was the single greatest thing my father could have done for me and for my family. He took us from a legacy of tyranny to a legacy of freedom. And inside every human breast beats the living heart of freedom. Every human being wants the opportunity to go after what they want and not have someone tell them what to do or how to do it. And I become such a champion for freedom. I believe so strongly in freedom. I've written books supporting freedom. And it's the thing that every entrepreneur, in my opinion, needs to be a champion for freedom. Why? Because without freedom, you can't have a business. Freedom is the bedrock of free expression, which is the bedrock of free enterprise, which is what allows you to create and make your dreams come alive. You think about that. That's so important. And my late father, he was the greatest single man I've ever known. He was the kind of man that if you knew him, Daniel, and you were looking for work, he'd sit you down in his office and he'd dial his friends, dial for dollars, call them all and browbeat them till one of them hired you. That's how he would roll. And he'd go, hey, Daniel, okay, you start tomorrow. You're working at this company. Here's the salary. Good luck. If you were trying to start a business, he'd sit with you. He'd listen to you. He'd give you his best ideas. He'd get you access to capital. He'd get you some access to clients. That's how he rolled. And if you knew him and you were trying to buy a car or a house and the bank wouldn't give you quite enough to get the one you wanted, he would top you up with a loan that he would never, ever let you pay back. And you might go to yourself, what are you talking about? Who does that, Nicky? That's impossible. It's like a fairy tale. Well, who does that? Well, the late, great Napoleon Billou, for one. And then you'd say to me, well, why would he do that? That's the skepticism that's in human nature. And I tell you, well, first of all, he was a devout Christian. He believed he'd been blessed by God Almighty, and it was his duty to share those blessings with others. But secondly, Daniel, he did it because he could. He was successful. He was rich. I wanted to be like that. I wanted to be somebody who was all about making a difference. Dad would tell me when I was young, son, remember, life is about people. It's not about numbers. He said, even business is about people. It's not about numbers. And I'd go, Dad, what are you talking about? Of course, business is about money or numbers. Without it, you can't have, a business. He goes, yeah. But listen, you got to solve a problem for a person, an acute problem for an awesome person, and you get a chance to make an amazing profit. And I wanted to be like my dad. My dad will always tell me that man sitting in front of you, that's someone's son, that's someone's brother, that's someone's father, that's someone's husband. That's someone's wife, that's someone's daughter, that's someone's sister. That's someone's mother. That's a hero to somebody. And maybe they've even been burned by someone just like you in business. Maybe they've lost faith in humanity. It's your job to restore that faith. And I'll tell you something. When my dad passed on, I took the torch that he passed, and it was all about one thing: loving on people, believing in people, having faith in people. Because every human being needs someone to believe in them and someone to show them a path for how to enroll other people in their vision, into what they want to create as their purpose in life. And that's what I do, man. I love on people. I believe in people. I pour into people, and I show them how to enroll others in their vision, in their mission. That's my superpower. I'm the greatest dude for thought leadership. I show you how to be a thought leader. I show you how to create intellectual property. I show you how to write books, how to create podcasts. I show you how to position yourself. I got it going on, man. I've written 10 books, 2 of them New York Times best sellers, bro. So I've read 4,000 books. I'm nobody's fool, but all of those pale in comparison to what my father taught me, how to be a good human being who loves on people, believes in people, and helps them win. That's it.
Nicky, my brother, that's a beautiful answer. And a lot of the stuff that you mentioned, I'm going to get into. But one of the things that I think that was really beautiful that you said is that business, isn't a numbers game, it's a people game. Obviously, in practical circumstances, people have to make money and whatnot. But in my humble opinion, while I'm kind of this humble podcaster, I think that the best entrepreneurs, when you ask them why they do what they do, surely everybody wants to make ends meet, make a little bit of money. But the big thing is they want to solve an issue, and they, pun intended, religiously attack that issue with everything that they have. And ultimately, as the more problems or the more, the easier that the issue becomes or the more that they solve, naturally just kind of the more wealth and riches and abundance flows in. So, can definitely agree with you on that point for sure.
Awesome. Every good human being who goes into business does it for good reasons. Society's greatest heroes are first the people who fight, bleed, and die to keep us safe. Okay.
Totally.
First and foremost. But secondly, it's the entrepreneurs, the ones with a dream, with a purpose on their heart that God put there. Those are society's greatest heroes because they go after those dreams. And by doing so, they create opportunities for everybody else. And for me, man, I am a champion for the entrepreneur. Every entrepreneur deserves someone to champion them. A problem a lot of them have is they get scared, man. They don't want to be seen as pushy or salesy or reeking of commission breath. Mm-hmm. And that's why they don't go after business the way they should. And I'm like, my God, that's hurting them because they don't get the business, but it hurts the client because they don't get somebody good to help them solve the problem. And then some charlatan marketer comes in and scoops that business. And they don't care whether they deliver or not. Everybody loses. Mm-hmm. Okay, the client loses because their problem doesn't get solved. You lose because you don't make money. Even the charlatan loses because what goes around comes around. And what I've done, man, is I thought about this. And I thought, how do I help these people? Well, they got to reframe selling. That word selling, we got to reframe it to serving. Nobody wants to be sold. Daniel, you don't want to be sold. I don't want to be sold. But everybody wants to be served by a caring advocate, caring human being. Just by teaching people that have helped them double, triple, quadruple, fivefold, tenfold their business. Nothing else changed except they went from thinking sales to thinking service. They went from thinking, oh my God, what are they going to think of me? To thinking, I got to help this person. Remember, it's not about you, it's about them. It's always about them. It's never about you. Take the attention off of you, put the attention on the other person, and you will create wins. Success will be yours in the most uncommon of hours, Daniel.
What's beautiful about what you just said, and something that I think, is a big issue in society, but I think what you said kind of reinforces everyone's internal belief. I think that most people want to serve, want to do well, feel as though they have some purpose to add to society. But what we see in media, even though it's probably a fraction of the population has access to media and is posting every day, it seems to be that that's dominating everyone's head. But in reality, I think most people feel as though they want to do something, they have some value to contribute to society, yet they, see people writing really bad things online or kind of writing about societal expectations about what they should be, or, describing, say, for example, someone wants to be a podcaster and online they see someone writing, podcasting is for, insert random explicative over there. So why do you think these days, a lot of people are scared to chase after their purpose or scared to chase after what they want? Do you think it's because there's a lot of media naysayers online, or do you think that causes people to question really their purpose internally, or is there another issue at hand, do you think?
Oh, brother, that's a whole 3-hour podcast episode in and of itself, man. That ain't a soundbite answer. But I can tell you this, okay? People are feeling like they don't believe in themselves. People are feeling like it's not possible for them. They want it to be possible for them. And that's the reason they need champions. Every human being needs someone in their corner who loves them and who believes in them, and someone in their corner who's going to hold their hand and show them how to persuade other people of their dreams and visions. Everyone needs that. And I can tell you, because I see everyone needs that, that's what I provide people. Like if someone's my client and they want to make their business go from 100,000 to 1 million, man, I'm going to believe in them. I'm going to say, you can do it. and I'm going to get them to believe in themselves. I'm going to spark that fire of belief so strong, so hard, until their own belief catches fire, and then they're good. And then I'm going to show them how to enroll. Everybody's got to be good at enrollment. Enrollment is where it's at. Are you going to enroll everybody? No. Should you enroll everybody? No. But you should enroll the people that want to be enrolled. And there's so many of those out there. You learn how to enroll, you crush it. And then you've got to learn how to be a thought leader. Well, why a thought leader? Well, what is a thought leader anyways? It's like this. An expert's someone who knows something. A thought leader is someone who's known for knowing something. Experts are a dime a dozen. Thought leaders are rare and valuable. If you're a thought leader, you're seen as the go-to person in your space. Like, listen, what's a good example of an expert versus the thought leader? Well, I'm going to give you two examples.
Love that.
Car company. Okay, one of them's led by an expert. The other one's led by a thought leader.
Mm-hmm.
Car company led by an expert is GM. Daniel, who's the president of GM? Go.
Can't say off the top of my head that I know that.
All right. The other car company's Tesla. Who's the president of Tesla? Go.
Well, I know the CEO is Musk. I don't know if he's also the president.
Elon Musk, baby. Elon Musk. He's a thought leader, while the CEO of GM, Mary Barra, is an expert.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
You got to understand this. Who would you rather be, Mary Barra or Elon Musk?
Elon, because he can think.
Elon. Why? Because GM is not worth a tenth of what Tesla is worth. Tesla is got all the momentum. Everyone wants to work there. Everyone wants to buy their products. Everyone wants to invest in Tesla. And what about GM? Nobody gives a shit about GM. Nobody gives a shit about GM. That's a fact. Okay? So I'm going to give you another example. Two professors of psychology at the University of Toronto. Both of them know their stuff. One of them's name is Jason Plax. Heard of him before?
I haven't, no.
The other one's name is Jordan Peterson. Heard of him before?
I may have heard of him once or twice.
May have heard of him before. That's a thought leader. He's known for knowing something. I teach people how to be the Elon Musk, the Jordan Peterson of their space, so they can monetize that to take their income from tragic to magic. I love on them. I believe in them. I give them all my fire, all my passion. I show them how to enroll, and then I show them how to be the Elon Musk, the Jordan Peterson of their space. That's how they win. That's how they roll. I'll tell you a quick story. I had a client. His name is Carl. He's passed on. God rest his soul. When I met him, he used to be an executive vice president of a manufacturing concern. He stopped to get into the coaching business. He made $350,000 a year as an executive VP of a manufacturing concern. He made $7,000 a month as an executive coach. He wanted to at least make as much money as he made when he was an executive VP when he came to see me. I sat with him and I thought, what do you do? Who do you do it for? I can do anything for anyone in business. No. You got to focus narrowly. So we helped him focus on one group. He went from everybody to sole proprietor law firms who wanted to double, triple in size. His message was, we're going to double and triple you in size. Within a few months, he went from $7,000 a month to $50,000 a month. He made $600,000 a year, $250,000 more than he made over there. He's working 30 hours a week maximum versus 70 hours a week. So, brother, that's the power of being seen as a thought leader in your space. That's what it's like. And within a year and a half, 2 years, all the lawyers who were single proprietor law firms knew. You call Carl. You better call Carl. If you want to grow, you better call Carl. That's where it's at. That is what lets people win, brother. You know what I'm talking about? You got to give them all your love, all your passion, all your fire. And then you got to show them how to position themselves as the Elon Musk, the Jordan Peterson, the Carl Kramer of their space. And then they go from tragic to magic with their income. Money doesn't become an issue anymore. And they get to serve from wanting to make a difference for people. That's the beautiful thing. What I want to do for people is have money never be an issue for them anymore so they can do what they were meant to do. They can live their purpose. They can live life as the best version of themselves.
You know, it's incredible the way you put that. And I think a good way to kind of summarize what I took away is that, you know, when you really focus on optimizing your purpose in life, it's crazy how everything falls into place. Would you agree?
Yes, 1,000%.
You know, on that note, a few of the things that you mentioned are some of the stories that you've had from starting the N Circle Academy. So from a high level, what would you say your main motivation was for starting your company?
Well, actually, E Circle Academy. But yeah, the main motivation I had, brother, is like I said, my father, was an entrepreneur, and he was all about making a difference. So I wanted to make a difference. I want to be in the helping professions. And I just think entrepreneurs are society's greatest heroes. I want every entrepreneur I can to be a multimillionaire, a billionaire. Like, I got a vision there are going to be 1 billion multimillionaires on our planet, 1 billion. And if I can be part of doing that, I got something called Mission 40. I want 40 entrepreneurs right now that we help take from tragic to magic to make millionaires. 40 millionaires out of our work with them. Man, that would just like make me stoked.
Yeah, for sure. And, wishing you blessings in getting that. But say, for example, someone, of course, say, for example, someone approaches you, or you guys are taking on a new client, whether it's a coach, an entrepreneur, or any sort of business person. Is there a common theme you see regarding some of the difficulties that they face?
Well, some of the difficulties that they face, I think we've already been talking into. So a lot of them get scared. They don't want to be salesy. They don't want to be pushy. They don't want to be reeking of commission breath. They don't know how to position themselves, so they're not all things to all people. And another common thing is they undervalue themselves. Daniel, they undervalue themselves. Just imagine this. Imagine you're a relationship coach. You work with men whose wives have left them, and you say, look, I'm going to help you get your wife back. I'm going to help you get your life back. And someone goes, okay, great, Daniel, let's get going. What do you charge, Daniel? You go, $50. They're going to go, what? You go, $50. They're not going to trust you. They're going to think you suck at what you do. Now, if you said $50,000, they might go, oh. They're going to trust that you know what you're doing. High prices reassure clients that you're good at what you do. Low prices make them think you're a loser who doesn't know what he's talking about. So you got to charge a good price. Don't gouge, but charge enough so you have leverage on the client so they show up and do the work. That's what I do. I teach people how to own their value. I had a client, New York City, man. This dude was an acupuncturist. He rocked. He made 150 grand a year, but it's in Manhattan. That's nothing. So he says, I want to make $1 million a year. So I looked at his business. Everything was right, except he undervalued himself. His clients were like big celebrities. So I said, dude, raise the fees. What? I'm like, 10%? No. 20%? No. No, dude, 30%. I go, dude, 20-fold. What? No, I can't do that. Forget it. That's crazy. Blah, blah, blah. No, you got to do it. You got to do it. Finally, he 7-folded his prices. 20-folded the number of people coming in. His big celebrity client said, I never could bring people here because you're good, but you just didn't charge right. Now that you're charging right, I can bring my friends here. So in 4 months, he went from 150,000 to 1.2 million. He made over $1 million in 4 months. You think about that. That's nuts.
No, it's crazy for sure. And incredible to see how much sometimes a pricing difference or just a general strategy difference can make in a business's life. So incredible that you have that. On that note, are there any other crazy client stories that stand out to you that kind of afterward you just look away and you're like, damn, I can't believe I was able to help make that happen?
Well, I'll tell you my final story, okay? My final story. This is the story to end all stories. It's so good. So there was this woman, she came to me, her name was Julie. And when we met Julie, she used to be the country director for Canada for one of the world's oldest and largest personal development firms. She was so good at what she did, but she brought this guy on because she thought he was talented, very talented, could help her grow the company. For a year, everything was great, but after a year, their visions of the future diverged. There was a board of directors involved, and they fired her from her own company.
It's crazy.
Just like Steve Jobs got fired from Apple back in the day when he brought John Scully in. So similar her story was to his, because for 18 months, she's lost, bereft. Someone introduces her to me and my lady. I work with my lady, my sweet better half, Teresa, most amazing woman on the planet. And we saw this was a good human being who was just lost. So we helped her get settled, believe in herself. We helped her get clear on her ideal client, what to charge, how to charge. In her first month, she made $10,000. In her second month, she made $12,000. In her third month, she made $18,000. In her fourth month, dude, she went up to $62,200. Awesome. That figure will become germane in a moment. Now, she lives in Ottawa. I live in Toronto, 5-hour drive. My eldest son plays soccer. He had a tournament in Ottawa. Ottawa has been a place he and I have visited a few times for soccer. And I called her up and I go, hey, you got a son my boy's age. We're coming to Ottawa for a soccer tournament. You guys want to come watch? She said, sure. They came. Son's team won the tournament, which is great. On our way out, we all had lunch, had a good time, went our separate ways. A few weeks later, we had our quarterly branded thought leader immersion workshop. This is our high-end exclusive mastermind where for 3 days you dive into thought leadership and you learn how you can be, a thought leader, the best version of you. And here's what happened. The event went great. And there was a time when I do an up enrollment. I'd let people know how they can be involved with us for a year. We got a really high-end year-long mastermind. And the way I do it is I ask people who are already our members to come and stand up and share their success story, their vision. And I said, who'd like to share? Normally people put up their hands, but she just bounded on stage. I'm like, okay, come on up.
What can you do?
I'm standing behind her, right? She's got center stage, so I'm receded in the background. And she's looking at people, not saying anything. And then I hear a sound. I'm like, what? And then I see her shoulders go like this. What's going on? And then I hear a loud sob. I'm like, oh my God, she's crying. What the hell? Why is she crying? What's going on? What did I do? You know what every man does when a woman cries? What did I do? Right.
Yeah. PTSD, but yeah.
But I keep my cool. Just inside, I'm not cool. Outside, very placid exterior. And my lady, Teresa, comes on stage with a box of tissues and sympathetic look. And she just says, nods gratefully, and she blows her nose loudly. And then she turns to me and she goes, Nicky, you didn't know this, but when you and your little son came to visit me and my little son, my little boy said to me, Mommy, who are we going to go meet? No, boys they get excited to go places, right? And she said, oh, sweetie, we're going to see Nicky, Billou and his son. And she said, my son all of a sudden got very quiet, very serious, and said, oh, Mommy, are we going to get to meet the man who saved our family?
Wow.
Now, bro, I'm old school. I'm from Iran. I'm not from here. I'm not a pussy. You know what I'm saying? I don't cry in public. I cried like a little girl. I cried and cried and cried. We hugged. Everybody just went, oh. And then she keeps talking in between the sobs. She goes, when I first came to see you, the bank was about to foreclose on our home. We hadn't paid our mortgage in 18 months. And my husband and I, we were fighting every day like cats and dogs, she said. My kids were worried we were going to break up. I was worried we were going to break up. But you came into our lives and you took care of the money issue. We paid off our mortgage. And without financial stress, we stopped fighting. And, we're back in love and our family isn't going to break up. You saved our family. And I'm just like sitting there, dude, going, just crying, not saying much. Normally we have 2 or 3 people share. I just said, I think that's a wrap.
Yeah. Could make it into a movie.
We handed out the registration forms. Now you need to understand, this is a $40,000 USD annual fee. Okay. Mm-hmm. Not chump change, right? There were 8 people in the room. No, there's never a case where everybody buys. Mm-hmm. Some people buy, some people don't buy, some people you got to try to persuade them. But on this day, brother, there was no persuasion necessary, and everybody bought. Everybody bought. There were 2 guys in the room who had told me beforehand, Nick, come here, Nicky, come here, boy. I'm like, yeah, sure. I just want you to know something. Like, okay. I've been around the block. Yes, sir, I have. I know you got an upsell coming. Yes, sir, I do. I know you got an upsell coming. I want you to know. This was like the day before, right? Yeah. I like you, but I ain't buying your upsell. I just don't be disappointed now. I'm like, okay, buddy. All right, whatever you say. It's all good. And he was the first dude to sign up. And he came up to me and he looks at me like this. He goes, you son of a bitch. I'm like, what the hell?
What did I do?
So I'm like, okay. What do you want me to say? And he said, but I need help. That's the truth. I need help. Then he looked at me and he said, I guess you're not full of shit. You're not a thief. Like, Okay.
You don't
I
say.
could have, I just said, I mean, if you hadn't figured that out on your own, I didn't say anything like that, but I'm in my head. Like, you hadn't figured that out on your own already? All right. But that's the power of loving on somebody, believing in somebody, pouring into them, helping them win, not putting the focus on me, putting all the focus on her. That's the power of the pro.
I think
And
it
my
was really,
friend.
no, it was a really, for sure. It was definitely a beautiful story and incredible to hear that and wish her and the rest of the people who were inspired by that to sign up. And honestly, I think you said you were in Miami, right?
Toronto.
Oh, Toronto. Sorry, I heard Miami. I was about to say that was a very Florida-esque accent, but I'm sure there's people like that all over. Um, a really common theme, I think, maybe you've seen this as well, is a lot of times people are, have financial stress, and don't get me wrong, a lot of people are struggling out there, and a lot of stuff happens. It's out of our control. Totally understand that. But do you think a lot of times what people do is instead they focus too much directly on the money, and instead they don't focus as much on the value about themselves? In the sense that if they focused first on the value that they know they could add, and they could be like, oh, this is really how much I should be making.
Every human being over the last 3 years, every single one has been affected by the crap that's going on around the world. The
Totally.
scamdemic, the lockdowns, um, the inflation that was deliberately brought on after Joe Biden stole the election. And I'm sorry, I'm from Iran. I've seen stolen elections before.
It's all good,
People,
brother.
yeah,
Podcasts are
yeah,
for our voices, and feel free to speak
yeah,
your mind.
yeah.
That's what
So
makes
I'm
this
just
person
telling you,
great.
I've seen stolen elections before. All that happened. A lot of people are trying to pretend it didn't, but it did. You've got wars in Europe. You've got what's going on in your home country of Israel. People are freaking out and scared. Okay, freaking out and scared. I completely understand why they are not believing in themselves or in a safe world right now.
Hmm.
But I also can tell you this, that if you're here on earth right now, God put you here for a reason. And I'm not telling you it's going to be sunshine, lollipop, and roses every step of the way, because it's not. But if you believe that you're a child of God, and if you are willing to let someone believe in you enough until your own belief gets sparked, you can still live life as the best version of yourself. And I'm inviting you to do that. Don't buy into that bull crap of the last 3.5 years. Stand up for yourself, stand up for what's right. And if you need someone to hold your hand, man, I'm offering. Here it is. Reach out to me. There's a link to get on my calendar. It's ecircleacademy.com/appointment.
It'll be in the episode description, the episode links. No worries on that.
Perfect. It'll be there too. But make sure that you don't go through the next little while alone. You're not going to figure it out up here. You're going to figure it out with people who have big hearts, igniting the big heart in you. That's all I'm going to tell you. Life is meant to be full of ups and full of downs, but it's meant to be one where you live something that you can be proud of at the end. If you're willing to say, yeah, I want this. Don't let all this fear hold you back. You deserve better than that.
I think that's a beautiful statement, brother, and hoping to keep moving forward with this podcast and have awesome guests like you. On another note, I see a lot of books behind you, and you've read over 4,000 books. One, I wanted to ask, how have you done that? And two, have there been any that you think have been the most influential to you in your development as a person and professional?
Oh, I just read, man. I read. All you got to do is make the time to read. You'll read books. It's that simple. Shut down your phone, put it away a couple hours a day. It's incredible how much you'll get done. That's number one. And,
Mhm.
the Bible has been a very influential book for me. Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, fantastic book. The Fountainhead, also by Ayn Rand. Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino has been a very, very powerful and influential book for me. The Christ Commission, also by Og Mandino, and The 12th Angel by Og Mandino. These are, three of his amazing books. In the world of fiction, The Eagle Has Landed is a fantastic book. It'll touch your soul if you read it. Um, and I'm a big fan of autobiographies and biographies of the good and the great. Steve Jobs, great biography by Walter Isaacson. I just bought Elon Musk, also by Walter Isaacson. I've read another Elon Musk biography. I thought it was fantastic as well. These are all really incredible books. But the most important thing is to just read books. Be somebody who reads. Be somebody who wants to consume knowledge. I think God put us on earth to live, to love, to learn, to grow, to contribute. That's why we're here.
You know, it's interesting. So personally, I didn't read that much growing up. I actually started, I think, actively reading about a year and a half ago, and I think I'm on book number 16 right now, The Alchemist. That probably sounds relatively familiar. Off to a
Yeah, I've read that book. Good book.
yeah,
Paulo Coelho. It's great.
yeah, it's really good. Santiago is experiencing some interesting things at the point where I'm at, so I'll leave it at there for anyone else that wants to check it out. But what's really interesting is the way I always saw it was kind of labor, an extra thing to do. I personally started reading because I thought it would be, a great way to just improve critical thinking. But if there's anything that I've noticed, and especially since I've been, working as a podcaster, reading books, specifically autobiographies and, narratives and stories, if you can learn to enjoy reading, the beauty is that you'll never be bored again. If you have nothing to do, pick up a book and read. I mean, just the stories that you read and, how incredible and how you see even fiction stories or the crazy lives people have lived. I think it's absolutely and beautifully incredible to see, the kind of things some authors have written about and the kind of lives people have lived. So can definitely agree with you on that point. But on a similar note, you also happen to be an author. So after reading, thousands of books, why the pivot to becoming an author and writing books yourself?
It's part of what I do to share, what I've learned with other people. Plus, it's fun. Plus, it's a strategy of anybody who's a thought leader. You got to put your thoughts out there.
Yeah, for sure. And writing is fun. I don't think it's anywhere in my future, just because I don't think it's something that I'd be particularly great at or something I want to pursue. But I think if you release anything else, I'd be happy to take a look with my newfound hobby. But specifically, one of the books that you released that I was able to take a look at is called Kathy Capitalist and Johnny Jobmaker, which I
That's
thought is really interesting because it's kind of a children's book and to teach them really in a main way how the economy works. And if I'm guessing, it looks like you're reaching for it right there. So what was your motivation behind kind of writing a children's book, coming from typically writing, these adult or kind of more mature economic ideas, to instead trying to motivate really the youth and teaching them really how the economy works and not, all this junk we see on TV sometimes?
Well, at the time, my kids were young. They were 6 and 8, and I wrote this book for them. I wrote this book for them, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great little book. And honestly, it's something that I think every kid should read. Every kid should have out there, so that's the thought.
It's beautiful motivation there. Another thing, which probably won't surprise a lot of people, you're also a podcast host of the Thought Leadership Revolution, and you've been fortunate enough to have a lot of really cool, awesome, and interesting guests. One of which, well, actually two of which I'd love to get into, have been Barbara Corcoran, famous for Shark Tank, and George Ross, former Donald Trump advisor. I took a listen to your episode with Barbara Corcoran, and one of the things that she mentioned when investing in entrepreneurs, she looks for a setback that people face and how they respond to that setback. So, from your experience, what do you think separates the people that see a setback and kind of fold versus the people that see the setback and try to move forward or, jump over that setback?
Look, man, everybody's folded. Don't kid yourself. She's folded. Everybody's folded.
Mm-hmm.
There comes a point in your life, it did for me, where folding wasn't acceptable anymore.
Mm-hmm.
This year, I used to be a top fitness trainer, but I stopped about a dozen years ago when I gained over 50 pounds. Went from 175 to 227. And I kept telling myself, I'm going to turn this all around. But I was lying to myself. I didn't. Every year I got fatter.
Mm-hmm.
And this year I just told myself, fuck it. You're not a trainer anymore. So I hired a guy to coach me. And I did whatever he told me to do. And in 6 months, I went from 227 to 161. And that was after folding every year. I can do it, not doing it. You know, it's a decision. You want to win at anything in life, make a decision to win. Then commit to being bad before you're good. You got to be willing to suck for a while until you get good. And then you got to invest in coaching. You got to. You're the most important investment in your business. You got to invest in coaching, and you got to take the coaching. And you got to come up with the money, the time, the energy to make it happen. Those are the 4 qualities of a successful person. And don't kid yourself. We've all screwed up. Barbara Corcoran has not always been a multimillionaire.
For sure.
You know what I mean? She may want to tell everybody she has. And same with any successful person. But one of my key interviews was with Mark McCoy, Olympic gold medalist. And I asked him, Mark, what took you from being a guy who never won to being Olympic champion? He said it took him 4 tries to win that Olympic gold medal. 4 tries. 4th Olympics. Okay. And he said, it's easy. You need to learn how to lose. I'm like, oh, what does that mean? He said, you're not going to win every time. You got to learn how to lose and take the lesson and move forward and not let a loss destroy you. You got to learn how to lose. That's all.
Why do you think people aren't quick to embrace the fact that everyone sucks at the beginning? I think part of it is social media. They see, people having everything instantly, and sometimes young people are really successful. But why do you think that people are really reticent to accept the fact that everyone sucks in the beginning or to suck at something?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. That's an interesting question. I don't know. I think we live in a society that wants instant gratification, which we've talked about already in the show, right? But beyond that, I don't know what the answer is. You can't have instant gratification. It doesn't work. Instant gratification is bullshit. It's fool's gold. You got to be willing to put in the time and the hours and do the work. I don't know anybody who got handed a perfect body. I don't know anybody who got handed a perfect relationship. I don't know anybody who got handed a business without earning the right to make that business succeed. Look at Donald Trump, right? Like, he borrowed $1 million from his dad. Now, that's fantastic. You got a dad who can lend you $1 million, right? But he did something with that. He didn't go blow it on hookers and blow. You know what I mean? He did something with it. So success isn't handed to you. Success is earned. It's achieved. It's through you taking the time to want to win.
I think in short, while we might not have a scientific answer for what separates people, I think the best answer is that it's a decision, and people make a decision and they stick with it.
Yeah, 100%.
If you have the fun things that I wanted to ask that I think you'll have a blast answering, if you could have any superpower, Nicky, what would it be and why?
Time travel, go back in time.
Got it.
Go forward in time. Even better, go forward in time. Know what stocks to invest in.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's the smart answer. Everyone picks like flying, vision, or whatever, but I think the smart people, like, I'd go back in time, talk to the founders of Google and either partner with them or invest in them when they were young, or any of these big tech companies. Who would your dream dinner guest be and why?
Dream dinner guest? Oh. Right now, Elon Musk. That's alive, Elon Musk.
Got it. How about dead?
Ronald Reagan.
It's a bold answer, but a great answer as well. The other thing that I thought was really interesting, you've been described as the Napoleon Hill of this generation. Now, I've been fortunate enough to get my hands on and read Think and Grow Rich, where he talks about the tales and characteristics of really ultra uber successful people. Do you ever see yourself publishing a book after you've done all these podcast interviews, really outlining kind of what sets those people apart or why they were able to achieve what they were able to achieve?
Well, I've kind of talked about those things, but the idea of a book based on the podcast, yeah, that's a cool idea. That's a really cool idea. I'd
Got it.
actually like to take, um, because I've done over 500 episodes so far.
Mhm.
I think when we hit 1,000 episodes, maybe that'd be a cool thing to do, is to just say, okay, we're gonna publish a book right now, and this book is gonna be a book released on the anniversary of our 1,000th episode, and we'll take the lessons from our top 20 guests of all time. I think that'd be really, really cool.
The Think and Grow Rich of the modern era. So it'll be definitely an
Yeah,
interesting read, and best of luck with that. What would you say
thank you,
brings you pure happiness in life?
bro. It's being with my sons, with my woman, with the people that I love. That is the most important thing, man. People are
And
everything, bro. Everything. All that other stuff, it's nice, but it's not even close to being the most important thing. Once someone's handled their money, honestly, I don't think that focusing on money is something that anybody wants to do. They
for
just want to
sure.
handle their money as quickly as possible. They want to get out of survival mode.
Hmm.
I was watching a clip online. This billionaire, they took his money away and they said, okay, you got 90 days to make like $1 million, right? And so he had no money for this 90 days. And he said, okay, the first thing I got to do is I got to make enough money so I'm out of survival. So he said, I'm going to get into sales because I'm a good salesman.
Hmm.
So he said, I'm going to get into something I can sell that I can make money with quickly. And I thought, damn, that's pretty smart. That's pretty smart. So if he could sell something in the first 2, 3 weeks and put money aside as an issue, then it would be easy for him to do what he needed to do to create success through deal making.
Yeah, it's a beautiful answer, and I think money is a we happen to live in a practical world, so definitely a practical issue. But if people viewed it as kind of initially make enough for survival, focus on the people, the rest will take care of itself. So beautiful
Amen.
there. And Nikki, on a parting note, at the end of it all, unfortunately, I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't know how the best way to phrase this, but everything comes to an end. We all live our lives. Last time I checked, we're all going to leave at some point or the other. But what do you want to be most remembered for?
Um, Good father, good husband, good friend.
It's a beautiful parting word, Nikki, and thanks so much for taking the time, man. You're an awesome guest, and wish you the best of
Thank you.
luck with everything.
Daniel, likewise. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Nicky Billou. If you enjoyed the episode, rate the show on Spotify, drop a comment on YouTube, and subscribe.